skeletal physio and rehab and precision physiotherapy. Today we're going to talk about why do we feel tight or stiff in certain areas, especially if it's lower back or up in our trap area, lower neck or mid-back area. And let's really look at depth, whether it is really tight or it's the feeling of the tightness. And the latter is true here. Our muscles do not necessarily shorten or actually lengthen for a period of time. For a period of time, it's mostly that sensation, the feeling that we get of it being tight. So every muscle or soft tissue has some sort of a tone in it, and this tone could change based on a variety of different factors. So for example, if we've been in a sustained position, so most people say that, hey, every time I wake up in the morning, I feel just so stiff in my lower back, or if I'm in a computer for a period of time, then I just feel so tight and sore around my trap area or around my mid-back area. Now, this just shows that when you're in a sustained position or a period of time for a longer duration, then you tend to feel this tightness and then stiff feeling around that area. So lack of movement could cause you to do this. So what's the solution of it? It's about getting to move, right? We all have pets in our house, and if we can actually go back and see that, what do our pets do after they take a little nap? So they've just realized that they've taken a nap in one position and they've sustained that position for a period of time. The first thing that they wake up and do is that they shake themselves up. They have their own stretch routine. They've just almost self-designed this. No one's trained them to do it. Quite automatically, their body is telling them to do. However, we as humans, the intelligent, smart, with all these smart devices these days, we don't tend to do that, right? We wake up and then we go for a coffee or whatever that is. So the idea is that it's about, if you've been in a sustained position for a period of time, it's about reversing that position and then doing something opposite, or that sustained duration, you got to break things up a little bit. Now, there is this, let's say if you're feeling a lot tight in your lower back, and then you bend down to pick something up, and then your pain is seeming to increase. So we tend to associate that bending down is extremely bad for our lower back. Of course, a repetitive movement, if it is causing a lot of tightness or a stiff feeling around a certain area, you do want to modify it. So the idea would be to still wanting to do that, but in a modified way. So whether it be squatting or kneeling down or hinging from our hip and then being able to do that. Now, this is very, very important. Now that you haven't bent in a long period of time, for a period of time, you are modified this way, your back pain has kind of disappeared a little bit and you start to feel a little bit better. Now, you might actually go back to pick that object again because you're forgetful that you had some back pain, and then you bend down and then like bam, I got this exact same back pain again. Now, bending is extremely bad for me. Not necessarily, because what's happened here is that our brain, we've actually fed our brain that, or we've actually eliminated the movement of bending because we've done it in a modified way, and then our back or those muscles are not used to with that specific movement, and it has forgotten to actually do that. Every time you don't do a certain activity, let's say you go back to do that again, after a little bit of a gap, of course, you are more vulnerable to hurt that area again. That's what's exactly happening. You didn't put enough load or small dosage of triggers to the lower back to get accustomed to that original movement or that original direction that you were having some issues with. So when you start to feel better, it's important that with our exercises or with our movement routines or with our day-to-day activities, you're slowly trying to integrate back that bending down again to pick up that object in a slow increment manner. Otherwise, this is just that example that I suggested could be one of those possibilities that might happen where we might cause ourselves those issues. So that's why in a rehab as well, as and when you start feeling better, your pains decrease, it's important that you're doing the strength and conditioning, you're loading those movements and activity so that you are not flaring things up and then causing these issues later. Hopefully that helps. Keep these tips in mind, and then next time when you're hurting somewhere, try these strategies of taking that tightness away by going in these opposite directions, and then as and when your symptoms improve, you got to load things up by doing some loading activity, and that could be carrying a suitcase sort of a carry. We use kettlebell on one side and then load that area. We hold up planks there, and then you're doing some movement routines for your stretch. There's tons of videos and content that I've created that you can look for your mobility routines, but it's important that you're loading your area and not just stretches. It's only going to make you feel better for time being. There's nothing against it, but then after, once you feel better with your stretches, it's important that you're integrating some sort of a strength and conditioning into your routine. Until next time.